we shall start our next topic. So where do we stand now in our learning of object-oriented programming is that we have learned how to play the role of a class designer fairly, and we understand how do we apply OAD for a given set of requirements, and we know very well now how do I choose instance variables, static variables, instance methods, static methods. We also know how do we code constructors, and we just touched upon the last member of the class which is called initializers. We will recap initializers shortly as well. However, when we are fresh, what I want to do is to start off with a new topic, and the topic we have to learn today is a topic which most of us would already be familiar with, called arrays. It's a very, very important topic from the point of view of interviews and programming. Both for us to learn programming as well as to showcase our programming, we'll be using this concept. So you will see that many of the companies that will quiz you on interview questions and programming questions on arrays. There is a reason for that. So which is the reason why we want to learn arrays well and go in depth and understand it in its completeness, and then we will discuss about strings. So arrays and strings kind of go hand in hand from programming point of view. After we learn arrays and strings, and we have a couple of labs on this, we will be asking you to solve about 200-250 questions only on arrays and strings. All right, and doing that is what will hone your steps to program and your programming skills. Right now, many of us who are new to programming have got just used to the syntax of Java, and you are able to solve simple classes, create objects, invoke methods, fine. But what we are really interested in doing is being able to solve more complex problems. First and foremost, our fundamentals of steps to programming should be very clear, and that's for that reason we will be using strings and arrays to solve many problems. And without a shadow of doubt, I can tell you 90% of the companies that you are going to attend will ask you a question or a couple of programming questions from the 200 questions that we will give you. So I'll tell you how to go about doing it and how to learn, how to practice, etc. But right now, let's start off with arrays. Well, array is not a new concept to us, so which is the reason why I want you to participate, and you are going to tell me what it is, and we'll see if we can add extra things from Java point of view. So remind me please, what is an array? Very good. It's a collection of dash typed elements, Janaga, similar data typed elements, is it not? So a collection of similar data typed elements is what is an array in short, and which is true. So let's do this in two iterations. First, let's understand what and all we know about the arrays in general. Then we will understand specifically about arrays from Java point of view. So first, generic understanding, specific understanding of how arrays are implemented in Java. So collection of similar data typed elements is an array. That's not a bad definition to start off with. Tell me more. Array is okay, it's a sequential storage mechanism. What is the structure of an array? The structure of an array is you have a number of boxes which are indexed, is it not? Which are position backed, so to say. So we call it as an indexed storage mechanism. So indexed storage is what arrays give us, which basically means, what this is nothing but, to give you an analogy, whenever you want to carry a pen with you, it's not a big deal. You put a pen in your shirt or pocket and you can carry it. But if at all you want to carry your pen and you want to carry your I don't know, some makeup, some powder, and some tissues and pins and God knows what else you will carry. So if you want to carry many items together, obviously you cannot carry all the items, no? And you imagine you are carrying everywhere all the items with you. That's ridiculous. Instead, what you put inside of is a bag. That's it. So an array is like a bag. It's a bag which gives you compartments where each compartment is position backed, indexed. And what we can do is to store into a compartment and retrieve from a compartment. Is it not? Well, I never knew that you could store as many things in a bag until I saw my wife's bag. You see? I mean, of course, I have a sister who was grown up with me, so in the sense that we are kind of tomboyish, so we never carried bags or too many things with us. The first time I saw my wife's bag, I got a shock of my life only. There are only about 250 items. Basically, you can, put her into Antarctica or a desert. She will happily thrive there because she has all kinds of equipment in the bag. Then is when I understood the mahatva of carrying a bag on, bag or a backpack. Anyway, bottom line is, a bag is an array. And why do we use an array? Is exactly why do we use a bag? Is to hold many values, many elements together. And why would holding many elements be important for us? Obviously, what is it you would do once you hold the elements together in an array or in a bag? What would you want to do? Hello? Retrieve it. Okay. So you hold it and you retrieve it, and then what else? You want to manipulate the elements, is it not? You want to get the elements, you might want to modify the elements, you might want to remove an element, you might want to search through the elements, you might want to sort the elements, is it not? So these are the things that you typically do when you have a collection of data. So no brainer, that is exactly what we will be doing with an array as well. So also it is very important to, if you want to pass this to somebody else, is it not? If at all I want to pass many values together, I am sure you would have seen all kinds of Hollywood movies where, a policeman will come to do a check. I don't know if you have seen The Mask. Have you seen The Mask? Movie Jim Carrey's Mask, where you see the policeman will catch him and they'll start taking things from his pocket. One small gun, one big bazooka, one TV, one pant and shirt, and one item, one printer, one microwave. Everything is coming from his pocket. Now, if at all I want to pass all of these things to somebody else, it makes sense that instead of passing it one by one, I put it all into a bag. Then how many I need to pass is only one. So passing of multiple values makes sense if you put it in a bag. In the same way, if I want to return multiple values, is it not? So it's a no-brainer that whenever you want to store multiple values, we need a bag-like structure. And that is what is an array. More specifically, what is an array? Even before we say it's a collection of similar data type elements, or it offers us index storage. Importantly, what is an array? Is a data structure. A data structure means it's a structure which holds many pieces of data. Let me ask you this. When I want to hold a single piece of data, where will I store the data? Obviously in a variable, isn't it? We already know to create variables, and these variables will give us the ability to hold one piece of data. But now we are talking about holding many pieces of data. So when you want to hold many pieces of data, what is it you fundamentally need from a computer science point of view is a data structure. Now, there are several types of data structures. You can classify them as multiple types. Give me one classification. Those of you who know, computer science guys. Data structure, data types. No, I'm not asking you the names. Types. Let me give you a clue and a hint in computer science. If at all anybody asks you what is the type, blindly also you can tell two types and it will mostly be correct. Dashic and dashic. Very good. Static and dynamic. You see, you will probably never go wrong by telling that any types are static data types and dynamic data types. Static data structure and dynamic data structure. But having said that, I prefer the classification of linear and non-linear data structures, right? And as we said, it could be created also as static, classified as static, and dynamic. There are different classifications, as I told you. Linear is a data structure which offers you a linear storage mechanism, where typically the boxes are in a linear fashion where it holds the data. Non-linear is where the boxes are which holds the data need not be in a linear fashion, it could be in a haphazard manner. Now, give me some examples of data structures that you are already aware of. So, the first and foremost one is an array. The second one is a list. We'll talk more about this as we go along. But please note, this list is what is used to build a stack and a queue. So whatever you said as stack and queue as data structures, they are not pure data structures. They are actually implementation of a list. So if you really look at it from the raw point of view, there are arrays, there are lists, there are trees, and there are, what is Facebook? Facebook. Network what? Network graph. Is it not? I can have many friends. My friends can have many friends. Can some of their friends be my friends also or not? Facebook, yeah. Of course, yes. That is what we call as a graph. Then you have other kind of data structures as well. Heaps, maps, and so on. So these are some of the classification of data structures. Linear data structure would definitely be your array, list. Non-linear would all of these other data structures come into it. Having said that, what is an array? We are not talking about data structures now. We will reserve this for another time. Right now though, an array is a static data structure, and we also call it as a fixed data structure. Everybody knows. Why is an array called as a fixed data structure and a static data structure at that? Because it is fixed only, we call it a static. What does that mean? Whenever we create an array, what is it we need to fix? An array is backed by a fixed size and data type of elements. Is it not? So an array, whenever it is created, two things has to be fixed: size and data type. Like for example, when you go to a shop, a bag vendor shop, right? And you say, bag kudi, give me a bag. The first question the person is going to ask you is, what do you want to store? How many you want to store? Correct, no? What do you want to store and how many you want to store? Because based on that only he will give you a bag. If you are going to say, no, ee tara question kelidre bala kashta agutte, give me a bag that can store anything. What do you mean anything, man? Are you interested in storing pens? Are you interested in storing books? Are you interested in storing bodies? Because basically based on the requirement, there will be different types of a structured bag that will be given to you. So an array is fixed data structure in the sense that whenever we create an array, what we need to fix is its size and data type. What data type? If you fix the data type, only that type of elements you can add to the array. So like for example, if you buy a sketch pen box, no, what do you call that? Sketch pen box, right? Ideally what you are supposed to store in a sketch pen box are only sketch pens. So that's like an array for you. What type of data you can store are only sketch pens, and how many you can store are also fixed. And every sketch pen will go into a box within the compartment, or within a compartment within the box. Bottom line, tell me some real-time usages of an array. Where have you seen an array in real life? This is very common to relate to, is it not? An array is, so from a pictorial representation, this is an array, is it not? A number of boxes, and physically, oh, we did not mention that. Physically, where are the boxes stored? Where are the boxes stored? Sequentially next to each other, which is why we say what kind of a data structure it is a sequential storage data structure. It offers sequential storage. Sequential storage means, or if you say you want to create an array with 10 sides, then there are 10 boxes that will be created, and where will the 10 boxes be stored physically is next to each other. Sequential storage means physically all these data structures, where are they created, is in our memory. And in memory, what kind of storage will be done is contiguous storage. Contiguous storage means all the memory boxes which are next to each other is what will be reserved for your array. And now we say it indexed also, indexed data storage, indexed data structure, which means every box is numbered and the numbering starts from 0. So this is your 5-sized array starting from 0 to 4. Of course, I need to specify the data type, and then I can store only those type of values within it. Now, tell me, where have you seen this structure in the physically? Don't tell me about software. Tell me about anywhere else. Where have you seen this kind of a structure, array structure? Think, huh? Little louder, please. Janaga. Where have you seen an array-like structure? This is the most common structure that you would have seen. Sorry? Ice tray? Ice tray. Okay. You have ice trays which are numbered ice trays. Maybe ice bins, where you go to Ibaco, Babaco to buy some ice cream, and they have different bins, right? Each bin is numbered, and when you actually say, make me an ice cream, you'll say, pick one scoop from first tray, and 2 scoops from third tray, and 1 scoop from the middle tray, and put them all, and slash it and dice it and give it to me, right? So it could be, no doubts, bins in any store. Very good. What else? Books? Books in a library. So in a way, a library is also going to offer you index storage. where the indexing is not number though. The indexing is typically alphabetical, is it not? So it's not purely an array structure, but I got that. It kind of offers you, A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. And you have all the books, ideally by that author, named author, etc. What else? What else? House numbers. House numbers. All the house numbers are typically sequential in nature. You wish in India, right? There is no logic to house numbers. If at all I give you my house number and I give you my address, no, forget it. You will go on roaming Bangalore for 2 years, you will never find my house, right? So strategically placed, you see, for security. Just kidding. So very simple. If anybody can give anybody's address, anyways nobody will find it. Just kidding. Yes, in a way your address is, let's say, in a block. So especially if you go to Chandigarh or these planned cities, you have Noida and so on and so forth, you have sectors. Each sector is next to each other, they are sequential, and each one offers storage. Very good. And where is it that, come on, where is it you see this? Most common. Beehive. Beehive? Beehive? I like that. But anyway, where else? Huh? Plana. Huh? Crane. Train. Yeah, thank you. So, let me tell you a little introduction about myself. Okay, I am coming from a family where we are a little kept of hearing. Okay, so please, you got to be a little more. You got to stress more. Anyway, trains. Yes. So train compartments. Absolutely. You have compartments one after the other, and it's sequential in nature. And clearly, it's an index storage. And you will say, go to the third compartment. From the fifth compartment, you pull this fellow, and so on and so forth. No doubts about it. Yes. Please come. Why are you late? Just kidding. Yes. Yes. I thought we were missing people. Yes. Okay, for those of you who have come in, a quick 10-second introduction to what we have done so far. We are talking about arrays. What is an array? You know, collection of similar data type elements. Yes, and what is an array offered to us is something what we call as index storage, where the array, when we create it, it will give us boxes which are numbered. What is this? I can't do this again. Just kidding. We'll just give them a minute. Sorry guys, we started off without you. Hey, what is this? Are you all of this batch? Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Please come. Alright, let's begin guys. So we are briefly discussing about arrays. I'll just quickly give you a heads up of what we have discussed. We understand array is nothing but a collection of similar data type elements. We understand when we create an array, we call it, first of all, we call an array as a data structure. It is a linear and static data structure or fixed data structure. When we create an array, what is it we specify as the size and the data type? It's like a bag that you buy, and this bag which will have compartments. How will the compartments be stored is next to each other, which is why we say it offers sequential storage with contiguous memory. I was talking about asking you examples of where you have seen arrays in reality. Well, the first place you have seen arrays is nothing but in your memory, your RAM. What is your RAM about? RAM is nothing but a collection of bits. All the bits are stored contiguously and they are numbered or not. Using a bit or address, you can store the data and retrieve it. So clearly all the other examples that you have given are also valid ones. Having said that, because, tell me the most important thing now, because an array offers us indexed storage. Index storage means every data that you store is going to go into a box, and because the boxes are stored in sequential memory. There is the immediate important side effect and benefit of using an array to store data. What is the number one use of an array? No. What is the number one use of an array? Everybody knows. We are talking in general about arrays. What I have written on the board is what we have talked about. For those of you who just came in now, just go through it, and if you have a doubt, stop me and ask. Having said that, what is the number one use of an array? Nah. There are many data structures which stores multiple values. You don't need to use an array for it. An array is specific in the sense that it offers you a benefit which other data structures don't offer you, which is why it is super useful. Because the array is indexed, every box is numbered, and because the boxes are sequential. Think about it. Post boxes. So if at all you have post boxes, how are post boxes stored? Not in your street. If at all you have an apartment, in an apartment you might have some 500 houses or 200 houses. Where will the post boxes be? Will it be against each of the house in the apartment? If it is like that, then the postman will keep doing up and down, and one day he will go up. That's all. Clearly, where are all the post boxes in an apartment stored are usually in your basement. A basement or one floor, isn't it? And in that floor, what will you have? All the post boxes which are numbered stored next to each other, an array-like structure. Now, if a postman has to put some post into a post box, remove some post from a post box, is he supposed to count the post boxes one after the other? No way. 50th post box means directly 50th opens it and puts it. Go to the second means go to the second one, directly puts it and comes out. How can he do that? He can do that because all the post boxes are stored contiguously, which is why they are numbered, and using the number he can directly go into that particular box. So which means the most important benefit of an array is what it provides is what we call as random access. You need not have to guess. That's why it's called random access memory. Why is RAM called RAM? Random access memory. The whole idea of RAM is it is nothing but an array of bits, and because it is stored in sequential storage, how quickly can you access the bits? How many operations does it take to access any bit is only one operation. Whether it's the 0th bit you access or the 1,000,000th bit. Because it is stored sequentially, you can directly go to the 1,000,000 bit in one operation. This is the most important use of an array, is it not? And of course it can hold multiple values and all that, but the most important benefit of an array is it provides random access to the user. So these are the generic things about an array. Now we will start today's session. We will understand arrays from Java point of view. But having said that, those of you who are new or anybody else, any question or any query to be asked on what is an array, what is the structure of an array, what is this index storage mean, what is sequential access and sequential storage, and why random access is the benefit of it. So why you get random access? Because of sequential storage and indexing, so to say. Because of these two, this is a side effect that you get random access. All right. Now knowing that this is what is true for an array, let's understand array from Java point of view now. It's level 1-6. Always any such topic that we are going to learn, we'll start from level 1 learning, and then we'll proceed on to deeper levels. Array has just 2 levels of learning, nothing majorly complex. Having said that, let's see now. What is an array from Java point of view? Well, an array from Java point of view is the same thing. It's a collection of similar data typed elements. However, an array in Java is offered as an So an array in Java is created as an object. And yes, it offers, it is implemented in a similar manner, which means it gives you sequential storage, and it is a fixed data structure. Everything is the same, and it gives you, most importantly, random access. So an array in Java is implemented as an object. Well, let's directly dive in then. How do I create an array in Java? What are the different varieties of creating an array in Java are there? How can I store data? How can I retrieve data? How do I do random access? And what else can I do with an array? Let's begin to learn this. Well, how do you create any object? Typically you use new. But how do we create an object is you say new dash of class name of, is it not? Usually you have a class and you invoke that class name of, which means you invoke the constructor of the class and then have the object be created. Whereas in an array it is different. An array is implemented into the language with special syntax. That means you can create an array using special syntax. Remember, what are the two things you need to fix when you create an array? Size, data type. So what we will do, let's say we want to create an int array. So I'll say new int square bracket of 5. So the way you create an array is slightly different to the other syntax you have learnt. So the syntax of the array is special and it's baked into the language. So wherever you see the square brackets, that is what is representing and reminding us of an array. So you see now, new int of 5 means int of is nothing but your data type, 5 is nothing but your size. And how do you give the size is as a what value? Integer value. Are you with me? So this is how you are going to create an array in Java. New int of 5. Now remember, how many objects will be created when new int of 5 is executed by the JVM? 5 or 6? Only one object. Remember, this array is like a bag as we discussed. And when you say new int of 5, you are asking the JVM to create one bag with 5 compartments within. So only one object is created, and obviously which memory area is this object going to be created in? All objects are created in heap, so it will also be created in heap memory area, and what will be returned is the reference of it. Now I'm going to hold this reference, let us say in a reference variable called ARR. Obviously, what should the reference variable also be given is a data type which is type compatible with the object. If I created a new duck object, I would have had a duck reference. Here I have a new int array object, so I need a not an int variable but int array variable. So how do you represent an int array variable? Is by using the square brackets. So int square brackets ARR is what is telling you that what we have created is a reference variable which is capable of pointing to an int array. Please note, where do you give the size of the array? When do you give the size? Is only when you create the object. Only when you buy the bag, you need to specify what size you want. Only when you create the array, you need to specify what size you want. You are not going to give the size here, because what are we creating here is after all just a reference variable, a pointer variable. Are you with me? So when you create an object of an array is when you specify the data type and the size. But when you create a reference, you use the special syntax operator called box operator. It's called box operator. Alright? Now note, you can also specify either this way or you can have ARR of 2 square brackets like this. Alright? Is equal to ARR of 1. Is this possible or not? Is this possible or not? I am telling you this is legit, this is valid. So what am I creating here? I am not creating an array. What am I creating? Int array reference. It is an int array reference. From another int array reference I can copy the address or not? Remember what ARR1 contains? ARR1 contains only the address of the object. ARR1 hash 123. So hash 123 is what is there in ARR1. I am copying that now to your ARR2. So where will ARR2 also point to is same object. Are you with me? Everybody clear? So don't get sidelined with the syntax. The syntax is important for you to follow. So here I am creating 2 reference variables. I am creating an object here. Now once I create an array, what can I do? Array, you have created now 5 boxes, and remember how are these 5 boxes physically created inside the object is they are stored contiguously, right? Offers you contiguous storage, which is why it gives you sequential, which is why we say it gives us sequential storage and positional access. And the box of each of the numbering starts from 0. How do I access the boxes? Again with a special syntax. How do I access it? Is again using the square brackets index of, right? ARR1 of 0 is equal to 10. What is ARR1 of 0? ARR1 is a pointer to the object. Of 0 means I am accessing the first box. What can I store in the first box? I have already specified the data type. What can I store is an int. So it's like having 5 ints. So which means what I can store in it is an int value. So that means int will be stored here. Are you with me so far? Alright, cool. How do I simply read the value? Very simple. ARR of 1 of 1. for example. Tell me what will be the value printed out? Error, or 0, null, exception, crash. Remember, whenever you create any object, we understand all the state of that object will be initialized to default values. Now look at it. If you say new int of 5, what does it mean? Create a 5 int boxed object. What are each of the boxes? They are 5 int variables. What kind of variables are there within the object? They are like instance variables, which means whenever we create an array, all the boxes are pre-filled with default values. What is the default value depends on the data type. If it is an int array, clearly the values that will be stored are zeros. Are you with me? All arrays, the moment you create it, they are filled with default values. What default value is it? Depends on the data type. If I had a decimal array, double array, then what will all the values in the boxes be? 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0, 0.0. If I had a Boolean array, the default values will be true. No, what you say is true. Just kidding. You're right, false. All the boxes will be false. If I have a string array, null. Can I have a person array? Person class array? Absolutely yes, you can. And what will be stored again are null. You understand? Very good. So the default will be stored, the moment you create the array. Now, because it gives me positional access, what is it I could do? If I want to simply print all the values, is directly use a for loop. For int I equal to 0. By the way, every array object, apart from the boxes, it has one more instance variable called length. Whenever you create an array object, these 5 compartments are created, but also there is one more instance variable called length. It's a publicly accessible instance variable, which means how do I access it is arr1 dot length. Please note it is not a method, it's a variable I++. Look at what I have done. I am looping over 0 till length. Should I do equal to length or till length? Till length. Remember, the length is 5, but the index starts from 0. 0 till 5 to 4 is what I need to get to. So I equal to 0, I less than arr1 dot length, I plus plus. What is it I could do? Simply SOP arr1 of I. Remember what you have to pass here is an int, right? Wherever you need to pass an int, you can pass either a literal or a variable. So I passed a variable. So what will be printed out? SOP arr1 of 0, SOP arr1 of 1, arr1 of 2, arr1 of 3, arr1 of 4. Are you with me? All the values will be printed out. Very straightforward and simple. Everybody got this? Hello everybody? Okay, what have we understood? We have understood how do I create an int array, and I understand now the structure of the int array in the heap. I understand how do I create reference variables to point to the array. I now know how to store data using the position, how to retrieve data from the position, and how to retrieve or access all the boxes using my for loop. Everybody clear? Now, instead of accessing the elements in your array using your for loop, there is a more convenient way and a convenient syntax that is given to us, which is called the for each loop. For loop comes in 2 forms. Normal for each for. For each for is a simpler way of using the for loop, which is much more easier to access the contents of an array. And how is the syntax is something like this. The for flower round brackets colon. Right hand side, what is it we have is an array reference. Alright, right hand side is an array reference. It could also be something called as a collection reference. We'll not bother about it right now. Array reference. Left hand side, what is it you have is a variable to hold the data. What this for loop will do now is iterate over the array, loop over the array and give you one element. If it gives you one element, what I should do? Hold it. What kind of, if I want to hold it, I need a variable. It will give me one value at a time. So I need a variable. What data type variable? Whatever is the data type of the element, whatever can hold an int. What can hold an int? What can hold an int? An int can hold an int. I got that. After that, a long can hold an int. Float can hold an int. Double can hold an int. Yes or no? So you have to create a variable which can hold the int value. Int or upwards, so to say. Now, inside of this for loop, what is it I can directly do is SOP. What will be printed out? I'll give you two options, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 10, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Remember, what will X contain per iteration is the value in each box, not the index. Are you with me? So that means what I will get is for the first iteration X will contain 10, SOP 10 is printed out, second iteration second box, third iteration third box, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth. So automatically I can loop over the array and access all of it and print it. So this gives me a very easy way to access all the elements of the array. Are you with me? Everybody clear? So how many ways can I access the contents of an array? Using two ways. Normal for. If I use a normal for, what is it I need to do? Create an index variable, int I equal to 0 variable. I need to loop till what? Less than that arr.length variable, I plus plus. And I gives me the position. How to access it is arr of I. The other way is for int x colon arr. Array reference on the right hand side, temporary variable on the left hand side. What will now happen? This for loop will automatically loop over length number of times only. And what will X contain? Automatically is the value of each of the boxes per iteration. Everybody clear? Yes. ARR1 contains the address of the object. How the values are printed? This is the syntax, man. This is the syntax, right? The special syntax of for each loop is you give the array reference. What it is going to do, this for loop is going to do is work like for int I equal to 0, I less than arr.length. The same thing is happening, but without you having to write code for it. That's all. There's no difference. Are you with me? Jayanagar, any question? Okay. Everybody clear? This is super basics, guys. Let's get through the basics quickly. Let's go through more nicer aspects. However, if you have a doubt, now is the time to ask. Any doubt? Okay. You don't have a doubt. I have one. How many ways of looping over an array are there? Are two. Which is easier? No, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. You don't need to create one int I variable, loop over less than goes then, and then plus plus goes minus minus. None of those nonsense, is it not? So if there are two ways of doing things, clearly this one is easier one. When should I ever use the first one? Very good. Remember this. If your requirement is to access all the elements of the array, then clearly which is the better way to use is your for each loop. But if I want to access the array in a manner based on my logic, like for example, I want to access the array from the reverse order, all I want to access from the fourth box, third box, second box, third box, etc. This for each loop, you can't write ulta, okay, and expect it to do ulta reading. No, for each loop always loops from the beginning. But what if I want to access it from the end? Or maybe I want to access all alternate boxes. Or maybe I want to access only the first three boxes, last three boxes, etc. When I have a conditional access of a position, then I will use my normal for. When I want to access all the elements of the array, I will use my for each loop. Everybody clear? Awesome. Alright, so we have created an array and we know how to create a reference, how to store data in it, how to retrieve data from it as well. Very good. But then, what else kind of an array I can create? Well, in Java, arrays can be created as arrays of primitives. This is one type of array, or you can create an array of references. Please note, there are only two types of arrays in Java, an array of primitives, array of references. And what we just now saw is an array of primitive. Well, what is a primitive? We already know, one of the primitive data types. Now, how do I create an array of references? Remember, what is a reference is nothing but when a class is used as a data type. Like for example, string. So let us see, how do I create a string array? Tell me how to create a string array. Reference, string, square brackets, ARR. Quickly tell me, how many array objects are created when JVM executes this statement? 0. Who says 0 is the hero? 0. Why? Because all we have created is nothing but the sorry. Yes. Yeah, it's all world is a loose connection. You see, when you do something, something at all happens. Anyway, so all we have done is create a string array reference, not an array object. How do I create an array object? Is equal to, tell me the syntax, new data type, in this case obviously string data type, square bracket, size. Are you with me? Now quickly tell me, think, how many objects are created? This is a string array. I'll give you options. One again, 100 or 101. 100 strings and one array, 101. Only one. Yes, only one. Very good. Remember, no matter what of an array, by default, how many objects are created is only one. So that means ARR now again points to an array object. That array object has how many boxes? 100 boxes, indexed from 0 to 99. And what is the additional state variable created? Length. Length contains the size 100. What is stored in all the 100 boxes? What are the 100 boxes, by the way? They are 100 what? They are not 100 strings. They are 100 string references. Remember this. There are 100 string references now, which basically means each is a instance reference variable. It's a reference variable. That means each can hold an address of a string, not the string itself. Remember, you can only have an address, an array of primitives or an array of references. What you cannot have is an array of objects. You cannot store objects in an array. You can store the objects, addresses and references in an array. Are you with me? So that means what we stored in all the 100 boxes now are null. So let me write it above and let's see. So we have understood all arrays are implemented as objects. How do you create an array object is using a special syntax. There are two types of arrays you can create, array of primitives or array of references based on the data type. If I create an array of primitives or an array of references, typically how many objects are created are only one, and whatever is the size of the array I create, I give becomes the number of boxes within that array which are pre-filled to default values. And now ARR is pointing to an array object with 100 boxes 0 to 99, and there is an additional length instance variable which is given 100. Now how do I store data into this? ARR of 0 is equal to what do you call rose? Gulabi is rosa. Anyway, let's say rose only. Oops, Jayanagar, hold on. There you go. So ARR of 0 is rose, ARR of 1 is lily, ARR of 2 of course our national flower, lotus, ARR of 3, enough. Jasmine. Cauliflower is not a flower. Sunflower. Cauliflower. Alright. So now, doesn't matter. Now, tell me, what is stored in ARR of 0? ARR of 0, what is stored? Tell me. Not rows. Address of rows. Remember, string is created as an object in Java. That object's address is stored. So that means the ARR of 1 stores the address of lily, ARR of 2 stores address of lotus, ARR of 4 stores or ARR of 3 stores address of jasmine. So can I do this? You should be very quick in applying all these things. Now, tell me. Assignment operator rule, if right hand side data type is type compatible with left hand side data type, it will allow it. What is the right hand side data type is nothing but a string reference. Left hand side data type is also a string reference. Absolutely possible. What does this mean? Even your fourth, which is the fifth box, where will it point to is same to Jasmine itself. Are you with me? Everybody clear? So you can store as many references you want. So that means your array of references, it holds pointers to objects and not the objects themselves. That's important to know. You cannot create an array of objects in Java. That's not possible. Everybody clear? Hello everybody? Okay. So what do we know? We know how to access the boxes, store the data, retrieve the data, and we can use for each loop. Let's use the for each loop and print all the values here, please. Give me the syntax. for string str colon temporary variable ARR. That's it. No ARR of, just ARR, reference of your array. So this ARR is the reference of the array. Please note, you can put the square brackets here or here, but I prefer this approach because you close the variable name, what you see is its data type. Right? So string square brackets is the data type. So please note, your string array is not a string. Your string is not a string array. They are different data types. Now, for strings str colon ARR, SOP, what can I directly do? str. What is stored in str per iteration, per loop? The contents of the box, address. So ARR of 0 contains the address of rows. So SOP str rows is printed. A second iteration address of Lily, SOP that Lily is printed, Lotus printed, Jasmine printed, again Jasmine printed. Everybody clear? And for how many times this loop will loop? I have stored 5 boxes, sorry. Till length. 100 times it will loop. Because remember, for each loop loops over through all the length. You understand? You don't have a control there. If I wanted to print only 5 times, for loop, normal for loop. Let's look at the normal for loop once for here also. For int I is equal to 0, I less than, if I want to loop over the entire length, ARR dot length, I plus plus, and now what will I do? String S is equal to ARR of I. Are you with me? What am I doing now? What is ARR of I? Nothing but your string reference. I am storing that string reference in string temporary reference. Now I can do an SOP of? Yes. Of course I could have done SOP of ARR of I as well. Are you with me? Everybody clear? Okay, pretty straightforward. Nothing special there. Now, please write this. Pull up your pen and paper. I want you to create an integer array with 100 boxes. Create an int array with 100 boxes. Store into that array 1 to 101. I want you to store into the boxes 1 to 100, 1 to 100 as values, and print the values in the reverse order, 100, 99, 98, 97, etc. Are you with me? I'll repeat it again. Better I'll write it down for you. Please take a minute and do this so that you are familiar with the syntax. Create an int array with 100 boxes or 100 size. Store 1 to 100 in it. Print from 100th box till first. That's it. Quickly go about doing it. Just write the code, no need to write main method, no need to write class definition. Just the code snippet, that's good enough. Everybody do it, quickly. Done? If at all you are new to the syntax of the array, then don't look this side, that side. Apply what we have learned just now. That's when you will learn. Learning happens when you code, not when you listen. So please code it. So create an int array with 100 boxes. So obviously int square brackets ARR is equal to new int of 100. Please note, I want you to ask more questions, guys. It will help. I am passing 100 here, is it not? Can I pass n, where n is an int variable? Well, that's a question you should ask. Is it necessary that when I create an array, I fix the size as a literal, or I can pass an int variable? The answer is you can pass an int variable too. Are you with me? Everybody clear? How do you create an array? New int of size, and the size has to be passed as an int. What int? Int literal or int variable. That means, can I create a dynamic array in the sense that the size is not fixed during coding time or not? I can take the input from the user, how big a array you want, and if he gives 100 sized array I will create. If he gives 10 sized array I will create. Anyway, right now though it's very clear. Create an int array with 100 boxes, reference. Everybody got this? Obviously. Now, store 1 to 100 in it. How do I do that? You cannot do ARR, I should have given you 1000, because otherwise some of you would have done ARR of 0 is equal to 1, ARR of 2 is equal to 2, ARR of 3 is equal to 3. No, you don't want to do that. Obviously, there are too many contents. All you need to do is your for loop. Which one? For each or for? For. Int I is equal to 0, I less than, don't say 100, always use the length, ARR dot length, less than, not less than or equal to, I plus. I'll tell you what happens if you do less than or equal to. Now tell me, what should I store? By the way, what is stored in all the 100 boxes by default? 0, 0. Now what should I store into ARR of I? In 0th box I need to store 1. First box 2. Second box 3. That means whatever is the I value plus 1. If you did, like some of you did I plus plus, then that's completely wrong. Are you with me? Some of you have done I plus plus or plus plus I. Both are wrong. Why? If I do plus plus I, I'm changing the I value. Are you with me? That's why I want this I plus 1. Do you understand? I plus 1 doesn't change the I value. I plus plus will change the I value. You don't want to change the I value, man. I is what we are using to loop over. Yes or no? Everybody got this? Did you write like this only or not? Yes or no? Anybody different? Any other option? Declare a variable. You declare one more variable. That's fine. Int k is equal to 0. K plus plus. Not a problem. But you should not do I plus plus. Everybody clear? That's it. ARR of I?
ARR of I is equal to ARR of I plus 1.
How can you do that? I'll ask you. So, tell me this, guys. What about this one? Can I do ARR of I is equal to ARR of I plus 1? Why not? Why not? What does ARR of I plus 1 also contain? All the 100 boxes are containing 0, no? Are you with me? So you are taking 0 from the packet box and putting it into the previous box. Are you with me?
No, I think so. Sir, it's ARR of I plus 1.
That's fine. ARR of I plus 1. Okay. Sorry. But anyway, this is a good question nonetheless. Having said that, by the way, this will result not in zeros in all the 100 boxes, but with an exception. Your program will crash. Hold on to that. You told me this, right?
Yes.
But now, what happens? Whatever is there in ARR of I, what you are adding to it is 1. So for the 0th box, what do you do? 0 plus 1, 1. Fine. Second box, what is there in ARR of I? 0 is there. So 0 plus 1 is again 1. So what are you storing in all the 100 boxes are? 1. You don't want to store 1. You want to store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100. Everybody clear? I mean, it's common. It's easy, right? I value is anyway changing. And what you need to store is the I plus 1 value. Store that into your array. Everybody got that? Now what is the expectation after you store? Print it, but print it in what order? Reverse order. So what should I use? For loop. For int I or j equal to what? So start at 100. 100 means? 100 means? Remember, ARR length, ARR dot length minus 1. Not ARR dot length. If you do ARR dot length, then what are you accessing is the 100th, not 100th box, 100 numbered box. But the number of the boxes start from 0, it goes on only till 99. Are you with me? So, int I equal to ARR dot length minus 1 until when? I is greater than or equal to 0. What should I do with the I value? This is a 99 first time. I minus. Perfect. Decrement. Is it not? Then what could I do? Simply everybody clear? Everybody got this? Why you are writing down now? Had you not gotten this? Hello? Did you get this or not? If at all you have a question or if you have a doubt, please ask me now. If you can't get this, there is a problem. You have not understood the syntax, so help me understand. I'll help you. If you use the for each loop for the first one, what happens? Remember, for each loop helps you to read data. Correct? No. But what I want to do is insert. If I have to insert, I have to have position. And in my for each loop, I don't have position. That's why we use this loop. Are you with me? Simple, but we might do many mistakes. Even the smallest of mistake you do, here it's going to be a big thing. Now it's fine, but I'm saying you have to understand this thoroughly. Everybody clear? Any other doubt? Second one I'm reading, but in what order am I reading? Reverse order. So can you tell me, how could I use my normal for loop? How could I use my normal for loop to print the value? Okay, how could I use my normal for loop to print the value counting from 0 to 100? I want to print from reverse order only, but I want my loop to start from 0. And I put 0. I less than arrow dot length again. No, you can do minus minus, plus plus. Correct? No. Now what should I do? SOP? Error. Error dot length minus I minus 1. Correct? No? What is the error dot length? 100. 100 minus 0 first time is 100, minus 1 is 99. So you are getting error of 99 first. Second iteration, I becomes 1. When I becomes 1, you are accessing error dot length is again 100. 100 minus 1 is 99. 99 minus 1 is 98. Then 97. Then 96. So on and so forth. Are you with me? Remember, the first thing you need to learn, given any tool, any game, any kind of a instrument, first thing you need to do is tirga murga. You see, you should be able to play around with the syntax. Go forward, go behind, print whatever you want in whichever manner. Everybody got that? Okay, write this code for me, please. Yeah, please. I is the index value. Error dot length is not. What does it mean? Error dot length is always fixed. It is the size of the array, 100. That will not change. I keeps changing. Makes sense, no? I start from 100. I is incrementing. So what am I getting? What? Okay. So in the square brackets, what you should give? Tell me. In the square bracket, what you should give? Int. So what is this? Error dot length is an int. Int minus an int is an int. That int minus an int is an int. So it's an int, is it not? Perfectly fine. Are you with me? Very good. So let's do the printing. Let's do the printing itself. Tell me, print the even indexed boxes of the array to the monitor. Same thing. You have filled 1 to 100. Print the even numbered boxes to the monitor. How do you do that? Multiple ways to do it. I is equal to start from 0. I error dot length again. I plus equal to 2 I can do. If I do I plus equal to 2, what I have to print? Directly error of I. Because for the first iteration I is 0. Second iteration it becomes 0 plus 2, 2. Then it becomes 4. Then it becomes 6. Then it becomes 8. Yes or no? But let's say I don't want this. I want to do I plus plus only. Now tell me, how do I access only the even boxes? Even boxes, even index. SOP error of? Oh, illa re. Yes, You simply check if I is even. If I mod 2 is equal to 0, then you know the index is even. Then only you do SOP. Everybody clear? We are scratching the surface. There are hundreds of problems I'm going to give you, but please note you have to do all of this. Only when you do it, tirga murga, will you get that flexibility and comfort with the syntax and doing whatever is asked of you immediately in an interview. And rest assured, they will ask you this. Not these are super simple, but more complex ones then. Alright, cool. Maybe one more just for practice. If I give you a longer one, you will take too much of time. So let's do. Okay. All right, let me give it to you. So create an int array with 100 boxes, fill 1 to 100 in it. Okay. After you fill 1 to 100 in it, what I want you to do is store how do I say? I don't know how to write it, but what I want, I'll tell you. I want you to store whatever. If the 0th box, you should take the other end, which is 99. I want you to add the two. Okay. Find the average of the two. Store it in both. Are you with me? I want you to take 0th with 99. Add the two, find the average, store it in both 0 and 99. Then when you come to 1, which one you should take? 98. So as you proceed here, I need to come in this direction. So that means if I come to the third one, I will choose the 96th one. Fourth one, 95th one. Are you with me? I need to add, find the average, store it in both. Write the code. Yeah, and first is create the 100 boxes, store 1 to 100 in it. After doing this, let's look at the syntax, slightly more involved. Each one of you do it, please. Take 2 minutes out and do it. It's important. You figure this out yourself. Don't worry if it is a struggle. The struggle will help you. Done? Done? Be careful, huh? You would have done wrongly. Verify. There's a chance of making a mistake. Sorry? Good question. Should you store the precise average or what? What do you do with the average? Because an average might not be, average of 2 inch might not be an int. That's where you need to be careful. Alright? So let's do one thing. You calculate the precise average and you ignore the decimal. That's what I want you to do. Calculate the precise average, but ignore the decimal. So how do you do this? So you have created an int array 100 size, store 1 to 100, you know how to do it now. For loop I is ARR of I equal to I plus 1. Done. Now, what do I need to do? I need to loop int I equal to 0 to I less than ARR dot length and I plus plus, right? I'm incrementing array from this direction. In the same way, what should I get hold of? I need it from the int value from the other side. So I'll create I int j. What is it equivalent to? ARR dot length minus 1 minus I. Not just minus 1. Are you with me? No, some of you have got a question. Look at this. ARR dot length first time, first iteration I is 0. ARR dot length is 100. 100 minus 1 is what? 99. 99 minus 0 is what? 99. So I is 99, j is I is 0, j is 99. Correct? Then I becomes 1. If I becomes 1, ARR dot length is still 100 only. 100 minus 1 is 99 only. 99 minus 1 is 98. So I is 1, j is 98. Correct or not? Then that's correct, right? Yes or no? Okay. What should I do now? Add. How do I add? What should I add? ARR of I should add. To what? ARR of j. J. Then what should I do? How do I find the average? This entire thing divided by 2. Yes or no? Wrong. 2, what Janaga?
It should be stored in a variable.
No, we'll store it. But what should I do? Divide by 2.0. Why 2.0? Because an int divided by an int, the result will be an int. I want the precise value and then chop off the decimal. You might get the same answer, but I just want to show you that like that. So remember this, whenever you are calculating an int array, average in an int array, this is what you need to do, right? To always ensure that you are dividing by a decimal or promoting one of them to a double. Now, this result, I should chop off the bit decimal. What should I do? Downcast it to an int. Decimal part is stored. Where should I store this? Where should I store this value? ARR of I. And then what should I store in ARR of j? Whatever I have stored already in ARR of. Are you with me? Everybody got this? Any questions? If you do ARR of dot length by 2, where will you do that? This one? Yeah. So if you do ARR dot length by 2, what will happen? Actually, it makes perfect sense. You don't really need to go. I should have told this to you already. You don't need to go through the entire array, is it not? Because you will start repeating this job. So ideally, what you need to do is loop over only ARR dot length by 2 times. In that way, I will loop over only till the middle index, and then I'm storing where? I'm storing here also, I'm storing there also. So I keep storing. Perfect. Okay, I'll give you many such problems, simple problems, which will give you the ability to play around with arrays. All right? But everybody got it right? Okay. Bidis the problem, split it up into individual parts, one step at a time you do it. All right? That is when you will get clarity and you will get a hold on the subject. All right. We will need not have to do too many more problems on the board, because anyway I'm going to ask you to solve many of them. Having said that, we now know how do I create an array, how do I store data, how do I retrieve data, and we also know how do I create a reference array, is it not? So remember, the reference array can be created not only from references of strings. I could also create a person array. For example, PARR is equal to new person array. Again, what I have to pass is an int. Remember, I can pass an n provided n has already been declared earlier and a value has been given. The value from a keyboard, or I could directly do an input or whatever it is. So this is perfectly legit and a legal way of creating an array object. Again, how many array objects are created? One array object created. How many person objects created? How many person objects created? Remember, yaar, when you go and buy a bag from a vendor, if it's a book bag, how many books will come with it? If you go and say, give me, I will go to 10th standard, so I want to store 20 books, so please give me 10th standard holding bag. Will the bag come with 10th standard books already? It will be an empty bag, yeah. When you create the array like this, it will be an empty array, which means you are creating one array object with how many boxes? 10. And 10 boxes are what? Person references. And what is the default value for a reference instance variable is null. How many person objects are created are? 0. Not a single one. It's just a bag which can store person references. Are you with me? Now, how do I store a person? Let's see. PRR of 0 is equal to what? Tell me the syntax. PRR of 0 is what? Nothing but a, come on everybody, it's a person reference. What can I do with a person reference? I can point it to a person object. How do I create a person object? New person of things. Yes or no? New person. So person class would have already been coded. There is a parameterized constructor which accepts a nickname or something as a parameter. So done. Then PRR of 1 is equal to what? Again one more person object. New person of monks. Are you with me or not? So how do you visualize this now? PRR is a reference pointing to a person array object. How many boxes are there? Are 10. 0 to 9 index, and what is the length containing obviously is 10. Initially all the 10 boxes are storing what value? Null value. And then what are we doing? PRR of 0, which means 0th box. What is PRR of 0? PRR of 0 is nothing but a person. Simply do this. When you want to know what PRR of 0 is, close the square brackets. What is it? It's a person reference. That's a person reference. So what can I do with a person reference? Using a person reference, I can point to a person object. So PRR of 0 points to now which object? Person object. What does person object have inside? Nickname or name or something like that. Now what is that nickname pointing to? Remember, it's a string. That itself is a pointer. Some pings. Are you with me? Then PRR of 1 is equal to new person of monks. That means this is the pointer now. Okay, what object again? Person object who has his own nickname, and now this will point to monks, string monks. Yes or no? Hello, how are you? Okay. You would have gone through arrays concept in other languages in less than 5 minutes. Correct, no? Array, gotaitala? Oh, gotait. Please not. Unless you can code, unless you understand exactly what is happening, you have not understood anything. That's why I'm telling you, learn, the only thing you can depend on and concretely say you have learned is what you know practically, experientially. Or otherwise, subject learning is almost useless learning. So, everybody clear? Ask me a doubt. I feel that some of you have a doubt here. PRR of 0 is a reference variable. It's a box, na? What is each box? Reference variable. So what can I use with a person? Do with a person reference variable? Point to an object. So that's what I'm doing. Right? What do you mean another object? What does a person have? Nickname. So nickname is an instance variable. What is the data type of instance variable? String. That means it's a string reference. Yes or no? Then there is a person parameterized constructor which accepts a string. What you pass as string is stored into that nickname, but what is actually passed is a string reference only. So the string object is created. Yes or no? Yes or no? Why is the confusion? You ideally should not have a confusion there. Anyway, now can I do this? PRR 0 dot dance. Can I do this? Imagine a person can dance. Can I do this? Why all of you are having big two question marks on your face? I don't understand. What is PRR of 0? Person reference. Using a person reference, can I call an instance method of a person or not? Absolutely yes. So who will dance? No, pengs will dance. Yes. If I do PRR 1, monks will dance. That's it. What's the big deal? So whenever I want to store 100 persons together, what am I going to do? Is create a 100 person array. 100 person array means I am not storing 100 persons only into the array. What I am storing are 100 person objects, references into that array. And that's nothing but your 100 persons now. Can I pass this array anywhere I want? Absolutely yes. This is one back for you. Everybody clear? Any other question? PRR of 2 is equal to PRR of 1. Possible, not possible? Again, all assignment operator, follow the rules. Right hand side data type, left hand side data type, other type compatible. Right hand side data type reference, left hand side data type reference, both are person references. Definitely I can copy one address reference, one person reference into another person reference, no problem. So where will PRR of 2 also point to? Same person object. Please don't think what is there in 2 is monks. You cannot store one person object in one chotu box. Person object is fat guy is. You can't turk him into a box. You understand? What you can have in your reference array are only references. Everybody clear? Okay. Okay. Before we take a break, one small aspect. So we have understood now. How do I create a reference array also? How do I create a normal primitive array as well? Now, what you need to understand is you can either create, just like in the real world, when you go and buy a school bag, the school bag comes empty. But when you buy a sketch pen box or the sketch pen, what do you call that? I don't even know what you call it. My vocabulary is very poor, by the way. You bought sketch pens, it comes inside, or a crayon box. Yes. Or let's say, badly, I'm giving you a bad example. Imagine one line coming up here. Smoking is very injurious to health. Neither the participant nor the owner means any harm. Okay? When you buy a cigarette box, will you get only box or with cigarettes? When you go and say, I want cigarette box, King's Kodi, will you take a box, open everything, put all the cigarette outside and say, box tagadi? Does that make any sense? No. So that means you get a box with cigarettes. When you buy a crayon box, you get a box with crayons. But when you buy a book bag, you get an empty bag. Correct? No? So clearly, there are two ways of creating an array. A filled array or an empty array. Right now what we understood is how do you create an empty array. So clearly an array can be created either as a empty array or as a literal array. Empty array or literal array. Empty array simply means that the bag is empty. You just have boxes, nothing in the box. Literal array means it's an array with the boxes filled with data. So it's a different syntax, that's all. It's very straightforward, otherwise though. Again, let me create a int array. Quickly tell me how many array objects have I created? 0. What have I created is only an array reference. Be clear about it. This is just a reference. Using a reference, there are no objects yet. No boxes yet. So, normal array creation is what? Empty array creation is what? New int of size. Literal array means special syntax, flower brackets, flower braces. And I can say 10, 20, 30, 40. Are you with me? Comma separated values within flower braces. What is this equivalent to doing? What is this equivalent to doing is creating actually an array object with how many boxes? 4 boxes, indexed from 0, 1 to 3. Also what it is going to do is what is 10, what are all the boxes going to be pre-filled with? 10, 20, 30 and 40. Everybody clear? Here are no points to this. How do I access all the compartments? Exactly the same way. This is just an array only. It is just that we can create an array with data. That's the only difference. Array with data, we call it as literal array. Array without data, we call it as an empty array. So when you use new to create an array object, it's always an empty array. When I create a literal array, I create it with flower braces and I prefill it with data. When I prefill it with data, I don't specify size. Size is deduced by the number of values. Everybody clear? Same way, I want to create a string array. Tell me quickly. String array Rx is equal to, I want to create a literal array. What should I do? Flower braces, directly within this double quotes. 1, 2, 3. Are you with me? How many array objects created? How many array objects created? Only one. How many boxes does it have? What is its length? 3. Index is 0, 1, 2. Overall, how many objects created by this one statement execution? 1 or 4? Our favorite number, Ray. What are the more double quotes? What are they created as? String objects. 3 string objects. And how many array objects? 1. And all the 3 objects references are stored inside the 3 boxes? Yes or no? Okay. So when you create an empty array, always how many objects are created are only 1. But if I create a literal array of strings or literal array of some other object, then that many objects will also be created. So how do I create a person literal array? Tell me. Person PRR is equal to open brace, close brace. Now, no, not double quotes here. Person I have to create. How do I create a person object? Not in double quote pengs and monks. Then we will be that. How do you create a person object here? Oh, kate. New person of here, moms or whatever. Correct now? Comma, one person object. One more, new person of soms or something. So how many array objects created of person? 1. How many boxes within? 2. Index 0 and 1. And how many person objects created on the heap? 2. Person objects, really. 2. And what is stored in PRR of 0? Pointer to that first person object with state mums. And what is stored in PRR of 1? Pointer to the other person object with state soms. Are you with me? Is everybody understanding or not? If you're not understanding, please stop me now, guys. It's very, very straightforward, very, very basic. I'm not saying straightforward, very, very basic. So if at all something is confusing you, you should stop and ask me. Very good. So we have discussed just about discussion. Now, how do I create a literal array, empty array? How do I create a primitive array? How do I create a reference array? How do I store data into the array? How do I retrieve data from the array? How do I use a normal for loop? How do I use a for each loop? And I know that there is an additional length variable that is created. Quick interview question for you. Tell me the biggest array that you can create in Java. Biggest means the maximum number of boxes. Tell me. Janaga, what is the biggest sized array you can create? Very good. Remember, when you create an array, what is it you have to give? Size. Size is of what data type? Int. That means the biggest sized array is nothing but the biggest int. That means the biggest array you can create is 2 power 31 minus 1. A 2 billion sized array is the biggest array you can create. Are you with me? Everybody got this? Awesome. So that completes level 1 learning of arrays. Level 2 is a slightly little more hooch. Okay, it's a little more crazy because we are going to go not from one dimension to multi dimensions. The moment you go into multi dimensions, our chakkar will come. You see? Just kidding. It's not very complex, but it's not very intuitive either. So I want to quickly tell you about how multi-dimensional arithmetic, multi-dimensional storage works. So let's discuss that. I will show you a demo of all the things we have learned, and we will finish the arrays concept. So learning about this much of arrays is important because what we now need to do is to go actually into strings. And to learn strings, your arrays is a prerequisite. Quickly take a 10-minute break, which will be back after.